Welcome to the MFers Big Show. I am PorterX27, and joining me is Chief Ramaho.
What's up, guys?
So, getting right into it, we're going to go immediately into the power rankings. Chief, why don't you go ahead and give us the top five and something that surprised you there?
So Cleveland comes in at number 1 in the power rankings, followed by myself and the Mexico City Diablos. Chicago Bears come in at 3, Tennessee Titans at 4, and number 5 is the London Bulldogs. Personally, I think Chicago should be number 1, followed by the Mexico City Diablos, and then Cleveland should be at 3. I think 8-0 earns you the top spot in the league for sure. And I honestly think maybe even the London Bulldogs should come in at 5 instead of the Tennessee Titans.
You know, and I got to agree with you. Some of the things I'm surprised with when I look at this is I'm surprised from how different the year has gone from last year to this year. You look at the London Bulldogs, the former Baltimore Ravens. They had ownership problems from the get-go. Even their own team didn't want to touch them. So they sold the team, new city, new continent, and a whole new team. And they're making really good use of it, sitting at 7-1 and probably one of the top competitors in that really difficult AFC North.
Another team that surprises me went from our Super Bowl champions, the Cardinals, to not even in the top 5 or top 10 in power ranking. What do you think about that, Porter?
That's really surprising. I've heard everybody say that there's a Super Bowl slump and everybody gets complacent and comfortable there. But that's just, to fall that hard, and then even with the kind of NFC West quasi-softening a little bit with the transfer from the old Seahawks to the Philadelphia, that's a unique thing. I really didn't expect that. I really had the NFC West being one of the tougher divisions, providing more challenges. And with that, the bigger surprise is the 0-16 49ers completely coming over and turning that NFC West team division completely upside down. What do you think are some predictions in the future?
I'd like to see the Cardinals get it together and get back on top, and I think that's a high possibility. Along with, I wouldn't count the Black Knights out of it either. The Black Knights are right there in that division. I think they're sitting at 3rd. So, a few predictions I have moving forward would have to be, just don't count any team out. I think there's a few right on the bubble that are actually going to surprise in the final.
I think we do know
season.
there is a few teams that you could probably count out immediately, and they all sadly reside in the AFC South.
Yeah, that's a sad division.
The AFC South really only has one competitor, and that's the Tennessee Titans. In the background here, we're watching actually this week's Game of the Week with Cleveland Browns versus Tennessee. It's not the actual gameplay that's going on. A lot of old Titans players, but it's just something to kind of look at, see how the teams are built, and how much different the landscape has changed in general. Some of the things I see going forward is the AFC West is starting to shape up a little bit different. We have the San Antonio Express making a push. Last year the AFC West in total last year was pretty silent, with the exception of the Chargers. Now the Chargers are actually present at their games, and they're making the thing, and they're still at just 500 and are tied for 2nd with the Voyagers.
A really different team this year than last year's, the Redskins, led by rookie quarterback, rookie running back, and a few other key pieces they picked up in the draft. What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. Brian Ashcroft, he won last year's DraftKings Champion Award and he went in the offseason and he didn't mess around. He traded away a lot of key pieces, and when he got out in return, has actually paid over in full. He had a team that wasn't really competitive, and he's taken a handful of rookies and free agents, and he's made it very difficult and made life rough for a lot of people in that newer NFC East. That's actually becoming a little more difficult to survive in.
Speaking of rookies, who do you have in your rookie category as some look at guys? Like who stands out to you?
Oh, my top 3 rookies? Well, right now, honestly, it's kind of starting at the bottom. Number 3, I would probably say is Pittman out from from that plays for the Armadillos. Golly, I got tongue-tied there. And Wooten that played for the Eagles. Both were drafted in the top 5 picks. Wooten was drafted number 1 overall. Pittman was drafted number 3. And this is an interesting wide receiver kind of rivalry that you got going on. This is in the same delight as you see with Rice and Owens. But most of the time when you talk about wide receiver rivalry, you think of the same teams. You got Randy Moss on one side, you got Chris Carter on the other. There's more than one example, but they escape me right now. Maybe you'd help me out.
Actually, I was going to ask you before we tie that into some receivers. Do you think they have the potential to be as great as a Moss and Owens, maybe a Julio Jones or a Calvin Johnson?
I think some of their dynamics, they very well could be some highlight big name players like that we just know who are immediately going to get the gold jacket as soon as they retire. Some of the tangibles, like their height and weight, aren't at that level. Pittman's only 5'11". Now, that's relatively small for a wide receiver, but he gets separation so easily. He just he creates that open space for himself to make those yards, and it just really makes a difference. The other rookie I'm looking forward to seeing more of is the prodigal son, Sean Taylor Jr. Already first year in the season, and he's already topping the leaderboards with interceptions. This kid has room to grow. This is I don't think this is a phenomenon. It's a family name. It's a family tradition to be successful in this league. And I'd like to see how well he grows and develops as we continue on in the years. And then I do got to say, man, this is almost my kind of really surprise pick. I think someone needs to look into the J.J. Watt family and sit down with the father and ask him a few questions, because Christian Wright, playing for Tennessee, first round pick, 20th overall, 14 tackles, 3 sacks already. He is a J.J. Watt prototype. He went to Wisconsin. He's a 4.3 run stopper. He's an absolute beast, and he's just starting. This is his first year, and he's making a name for himself. Who do you got?
Well, first guy I was looking into, not necessarily for being a star, but it's always a good storyline when you're following a quarterback retiring. And Drew Brees did that. He stepped down, and Tampa Bay went and took Baker Mayfield. Well, Baker Mayfield has been on his back more than Mia Khalifa, I tell you what. 25 sacks, it's just rough.
Dang.
And the guy must not get enough practice, because he's thrown 9 interceptions to 9 touchdowns. I think he needed a little bit more clipboard time before they just threw him into the wolves. Another guy I have is on defense from the Mexico City Diablos. He leads rookies in sacks with 6, and honestly, that's up there with some of the actual better players in the NFL. I think he's got plenty of room to grow, and I think he's an absolute threat as a pass rusher on the end. He converted from linebacker when he was drafted in the draft to end, just to suit the system better, and I think it's really working well for him.
Wow.
And my final guy would have to be Craig Dellenbach. We already talked about it. Washington's got a lot of rookies. This guy's leading the rookie categories in passing yards and passing touchdowns with almost 2,000 yards passing and somewhere up there in the numbers of touchdowns. And I think he's doing a good job. I think he's leading the Washington team places where they probably wouldn't have gotten without him. I think that Washington team's starting to look up.
Going back with Baker, I think it's really strange to say, and I think it needs to be discussed, is why are they forcing this young rookie into starting already? You have a veteran quarterback at Alex Smith who still has at least 2 or 3 more years that can easily mentor and develop this rookie. I mean, you throw him to the Wolves. We've seen it happen time and time before with rookie quarterbacks. Once they get shell-shocked, they're done. They're damaged goods, and they never really recover. I mean, the laundry list is full of rookie quarterbacks that just got brutalized in their first year. The problem is it's hard to name them because they disappear from the league so quickly. So what do you think is Tampa Bay's reasoning for not starting Baker and then keeping Smith on the bench?
Well, Porter, I think it's Cleveland Brown syndrome. I mean, as in the past, Johnny Manziel, Kevin Hogan. I mean, they've taken some top names, Brady Quinn. I mean, just some quarterbacks that I absolutely loved coming out of college, and they've kind of ruined them. So I mean, I think the Buccaneers had the same idea. We want to win now, and they want to win with not experience, but with a younger team. Because if he can learn it now and be successful, imagine what he could be in the future.
I mean,
But with that strategy, you can struggle because you get a guy who's went from a college offense to an NFL offense, and it doesn't always work out.
At what point do you think you call OSHA and say this is an unsafe working environment if you're the quarterback and you're just getting hammered and rushed and pressured immediately? That's an unsafe working condition, man. There's federal laws against this. I know he's got a helmet, so the hard hat is covered, but man, to take that beating day in and day out in Tampa Bay just isn't really fair.
Yeah, I think him and Mia Khalifa should be in the same business.
Why? Because they're just getting pounded?
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to watch.
Let's see. That's oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
So, with that being said, let's go ahead and move to league leaders right now. Last year the name of the game was running the ball. We saw Ezekiel Elliott absolutely dominate the league and win the MVP trophy hands down. Shattered a bunch of single-season records, broke Damian Tomlinson's single-season touchdown, broke Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing touchdown. But now this year, it's a change of a different tune. We're seeing Joe Flacco just completely airmail it all over the place. And then not only do we have his number one receiver as Davante Adams taking it up, but we're also seeing Robbie Anderson, come out of left field and just steal some of that spotlight. I mean, these are two guys that you know and you play with. What's going on there? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I believe the Diablos mix it up quite well. They get a lot of guys touches. I think Jeremy Maclin on that team has maybe 5 touchdowns. I think Clay has 3. I think a lot of different guys get touches, and the majority does go to Davante Adams because he's such a skill player, which is beneficial, just kind of like Robbie Anderson. I mean, he's a skill player, and you're going to feed him the ball. On the other hand, I think the Jets feed him a little too much, because I remember a specific game last year when Josh McCown was the quarterback of the Jets, and he threw 7 interceptions against the Mexico City Diablo defense, trying to feed Robbie Anderson the ball.
That's quite a lot. So do you think the Jets have just kind of like a tunnel vision when it comes to Robbie Anderson? They completely lose the scope of the field and just focus that one play? I mean, if you're a defender, if you're on the defense, what do? Do you do double coverage? Do you do a little mixture between zone? Like, how do you stop a wide receiver like Davante Adams? How do you stop a wide receiver like Robbie Anderson?
I think it takes great user control of a middle linebacker. Personally, when I played the Jets, and I mean, this was year 1, so can't really speak for year 2 and how our rematch is going to play out, but the Jets targeted him a lot over the middle, and my Preston Brown, who leads the league in interceptions this year, and I think he came in second last year, just an absolute animal linebacker, and he did exactly what I needed him to do. Stepped up, covered Robbie Anderson, and made it a living nightmare for that Jets offense that game. So I think as long as you can cover the guys over the middle and try and force them to throw somewhere else, I think you're going to have a better shot. But, I mean, when you have guys like Flacco and I believe it's Dalton over there for the Jets, he still has weapons. I mean, you're still going to be able to throw the ball with good quarterbacks. And, I mean, I'm willing to say Flacco's a lead. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with me. He's won a Super Bowl, brought his team to the conference championship last year. He's first in the MVP this year. I think the guy's got some stuff left in him. But
oh yeah, absolutely. Well, so I got to ask, man, what do you think is your long shot for the year? What is the one thing that's just an absolute long shot that you don't think is going to happen?
I mean, Not that I don't think it's gonna happen, because I have faith, but I think the the division of the AFC was it South with the Armadillos and the Lumberjacks, and I think that division's gonna get a little bit more competitive the second half of the season. Not necessarily like every team's gonna finish positive, but like. But I do think
1-7.
either the Lumberjacks or the Armadillos are going to come out with 5 or 6 wins, and I think that's my bold prediction because both of them are sitting at 1 or 2 wins right now. So.
All right. I'm going to go with my bold prediction. My bold prediction is that the Super Bowl defending Arizona Cardinals snap out of it and go in and may not take the division because the 49ers are really saying that they're here to stay, but at least make a wild card spot. And that's my division. That's my long shot right there. Well, I think that's about all the time that we have right now. Chief, you got anything to add?
No, it was nice talking with you, Porter, and I look forward to doing this in the future. And
all right,
signing off.
Thank you so much. And with that being said, that's our show, everybody. We'll get this posted. Everybody has their game scheduled, and we will see you next time.